Hello all and welcome to video classes by Konnur Institutes. Today we will be discussing the shapes of the short run cost curves. Okay, so in the last class or in the previous class we have already discussed what kind of different short run cost we have seen, right? The total variable cost, the total fixed cost, and the average of the costs, and also we have seen short run marginal cost and short run average cost, right? So these are the types of cost wherein we will be able to look at under the short run cost curves. So here are the two graphs wherein you can see this is the graph which is talking about the average fixed cost, and this is the graph which is talking about the total fixed cost. So when we are talking about the average fixed cost, first we have to understand what is the average fixed cost, right? So what actually is the average fixed cost? Here the name itself is telling average of the fixed cost, right? So how are we going to calculate this average fixed cost, or how are we able to get this average fixed cost? So to get this average fixed cost, we have to first find out what is the total fixed cost, and this total fixed cost needs to be divided with the quantity. So then you will be able to get this average fixed cost. So this graph tells us about the trend, how this average fixed cost will be throughout this short run. Here at the point here you can see that from here it has been decreasing, right? Gradually you can see it has been started decreasing. This is the point, and you can see to the correspondence of the output, the quantity is less as compared to this point. Okay, it has been increasing, right? The output, the quantity is increasing in order. So however, the total fixed cost might be fixed, but when it is being increased with the quantity, what happens? The AFC, the average fixed cost, also decreases. It starts gradually falling once there is an increase in the quantity. So that's the reason you can see that the ABC has started gradually falling as we have started increasing the quantity. So the AFC tells us, even if the fixed cost is constant, if you change the quantity or if you increase the quantity, what happens to the average fixed cost? It starts decreasing. So with this graph you can understand that even the fixed cost might be fixed, but if you increase the quantity, the average fixed cost will be always decreasing. And this is the graph which tells us about the total fixed cost. Here, whatever might be the quantity, even a firm wants to produce 1000 units or even the firm wants to produce 2000 units. Here, the total fixed cost will be constant. Why? Because it's not going to change. Fixed cost will be always fixed. If you remember, I had given an example of a rent which is being paid by the company, right? So that rent, does it change with accordance to the quantity, or if the firm changes its decision of making the outputs? No, right? The firm has to pay the same amount of rent even it is producing 1000 units, or even it is producing 2000 units, the firm has to pay the rent same, right? So that's the reason here the total fixed cost is not changing. Even see, at this point the quantity is 1000, imagine, okay, and at 2000 units, is it changing? No, right? You can see that the line, the straight line which is just parallel to the output is not changing. It's not going upwards or it's not even decreasing. So that tells us that even if you change the quantities or even if you make changes in the output, the total fixed cost is not going to change. So these are the two graphs which tells us about the total fixed cost and the average fixed cost. So by seeing the as you can assess easily that even if there is a change or even if there is an increase in the output, the total fixed cost is not going to change. But that's not the case with the average fixed cost, because average fixed cost depends on both the total fixed cost and the quantity here. So as you go on increasing the quantity or as you go on increasing the output, what happens to the average fixed cost? It starts gradually falling. So this is how we analyze the graphs which have been given. Now we'll understand how these short run marginal cost, short run average cost and average variable cost curve tells us, or how are we going to assess this graph. Okay, see, you can see these graphs, right, these curves and all, right. As you go on increasing the quantity, we have seen the AVC. What is average variable cost? Variable cost is that cost wherein when you are going to produce one more unit, it is going to charge you, right? So there will be lesser AVC when you go on increasing the quantity, and later on at a certain point, this is the minimum point at which it starts increasing. So as you go on adding one more unit, you will get the greater in the AVC. Similarly, in the short run average cost, how are we supposed to get this short run average cost? We get it from the total cost divided by the quantity, right? So this is also one method wherein we get this total average cost. And also there is one more method wherein we add AVC, average variable cost plus the average fixed cost. With this we get the short run average cost, right? So initially you can see here also you can see that there is a decreasing in order, and at a certain point, this point S and this point P is the minimum point wherein after this it has to increase. So how are we able to get these 2 points P and S? We have got that points with the curve of this short run marginal cost. So short run marginal cost, how did we get this short run marginal cost? Marginal tells us about the, as you go on in adding one more unit to the manufacturing or the output, there will be lesser and lesser of the cost, and at certain level of employment it starts increasing. Okay, so where this point, the SNC curve cuts the AVC and the SAC, you get these 2 points P and S. So this P and S is the point, it tells us that this is the minimum point after which the average variable cost and also the short run average cost will be increasing. Now coming to the Q1 and the Q2 point. These are the points where we are talking about the output in quantities. So you can see towards the left of this Q1, you can see here that the AVC is greater to the SNC. You can see this right, this change. So here the average variable cost is greater to the short run marginal cost. Similarly, when you are comparing this short run average cost to the short run marginal cost, you can again see here that the short run average cost is greater than the short run marginal cost. Okay, so you can see this area. But when we are talking about this side of the Q1, you can see here that whatever we have seen has been changed here. Now the SNC is greater than this short run average cost and also the average variable cost. Similarly, when we are talking about this Q2 point, the same situation happens here. There is an increase greater, right? The short run average cost is greater than the short run marginal cost. But here it has changed. You can see the short run marginal cost has been increased, is greater than the short run average cost. So this is how we assess the graph based on the curves and also based on these points. So this P and S are the points wherein that's the minimum point of ABC which will start increasing, and S is the point wherein the shortened average cost will increase after that point. So this is how we understand different types of short-run cost curves. So see you all in the next video classes more on long-run short cost curves.